Today you'll meet Ryan, who says he's convinced he lived a past life.
What if your child suddenly started speaking a different language? Or described memories that don't belong to them? What if they recalled names, places, and even how they died?
He couldn't possibly from a time long before he was born.
Reincarnation exists, and he's been there before.
From a life they never lived.
God threw me back down and my new mom made me loose.
These 20 chilling cases might make you question everything you thought you knew about life, death, and what comes after. Number 20. The boy with the bullet wound. From the moment he could speak, 4-year-old Edward Austrian complained of a sore throat. Doctors were baffled. Tests showed nothing until they didn't. His tonsils were removed. Then came a mysterious cyst, and then came the stories. Edward began talking about life in the trenches, about mud, rain, and rifles. He called his throat pain his shot. His mother brushed it off, until one day he looked at her and said, "My name was James. I was 18, in France."
My name was James. I was 18 years old in France. Now remember, this is a 4-year-old child.
He described the cold, the marching, the weight of his gun, and then a gunshot from behind, through another soldier, into the back of his neck. He remembered the blood. Doctors couldn't explain the cyst, but Edward already had. He wasn't just sick. He was remembering how he died. Number 19. The pilot who came back. It began when James Leininger was just 2. He'd wake up screaming, "Plane on fire! Little man can't get out."
He was saying, "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out." And that's what he was repeating over and over. "Airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out."
At first, his parents thought it was just nightmares. But then James started naming plane parts, correcting adults on things no toddler should know. "That's not a bomb," he once said. "It's a drop tank." He said he was a pilot, named James, flew a Corsair from a ship called Natoma. He remembered a fellow pilot, Jack Larson, and a mission near Iwo Jima that ended in flames. Skeptical, his father dug deeper and found it all matched. The USS Natoma Bay, Jack Larson, and a real pilot, James Houston Jr., the only one killed on that mission in 1945. Years later, James stood at sea, crying as he scattered flowers for the man he said he once was. Number 18. The girl who remembered her husband. By age 4, Shanti Devi had already unsettled her parents. She didn't talk much until she did. "This isn't my real home," she said. "My husband lives in Mathura. My name is Lugdi Devi." She described a yellow house, a well out front, and a man named Kedar Nath, a cloth merchant with glasses and a wart on his cheek. She said she died giving birth. Her teachers were stunned. She even spoke in the Mathura dialect. So they wrote to Kedar Nath, a real man whose wife Lugdi had died 9 years earlier. He came to meet her, pretending to be someone else. But Shanti saw through it. She wept, called him her husband, and recognized his son on sight. Even Mahatma Gandhi launched an investigation. And when she led the commission to her old home, step by step, they believed it too. She wasn't guessing. She was going home. Number 17. The boy who missed Hollywood. At age 4, Ryan Hammonds began having vivid dreams, not of monsters or cartoons, but of Hollywood. He spoke of mansions, movie stars, and a past life he couldn't shake. "I used to be somebody else," he told his mother.
He said, "Mom, I have something I need to tell you." I think I used to be somebody else. And he started just telling me these stories about how he had lived in Hollywood. His stories were so detailed.
A man who danced on Broadway, drove a green car, had 3 sons, and hated cats. Ryan described a house with a pool, a street with rock in the name, and a job helping actors change their names. Eventually, all clues pointed to Marty Martin, a once obscure agent who died in 1964. Ryan even got Martin's real age right, correcting an error on the death certificate. His memories faded as he grew older. But the details? Too many, too specific, for a boy from Oklahoma to recall a life in old Hollywood. That's a mystery no script could write. Number 16. The boy who carried grenades. When Nazi Aldanov started talking, his first words weren't mama or dada. They were more like, I carry 2 pistols. I carry 4 hand grenades. I'm not small. I'm a kabadai. He was 18 months old. His family, stunned, assumed it was just wild imagination. Until Nazi added, I have children, and I want to go see them. Nazi insisted he used to live in a town called Kaber Chamoun, about 11 miles away. When the family finally took him there, he led them to the exact house. Inside lived the family of Fuad Asad Kadaj, a Druze man who died years earlier from a gunshot wound. That's when things got really weird. Nazi told Fuad's widow how she slipped while picking pine cones in a far-off village. He knew which man built their gate. He knew where Fuad kept his weapons. He even named the rare gun model he once gave away, a Checky 16. Nazi's memories matched Fuad's life with almost eerie precision. So much so that a university researcher studied the case, called it truly remarkable, and published it in a scientific journal. Sometimes, when a child says he's not a child, maybe someone should listen. Number 15. The boy who claimed to be his own grandfather. Sam Taylor's case stands out for one astonishing reason. He claimed to be the reincarnation of his own grandfather. Born 18 months after his grandfather's death, Sam began making bizarre comments as a toddler, once telling his father, "When I was your age, I used to change your diapers." At age 4, he recognized a 1949 Pontiac in an old photo album and declared, "That's my car." Then, pointing to a childhood photo of his grandfather, he said, "There I am." Even more chilling, Sam claimed his sister turned into a fish, later revealed to match the true story of his grandfather's murdered sister, whose body was dumped in the bay. Dr. Jim Tucker, who studied the case, found Sam's knowledge eerily precise, despite no prior exposure to family stories. Number 14. The boy who became a reincarnated llama. Before his death in 1987, Tibetan Lama Dejung Rinpoche III made a bold prophecy. He would be reborn in Seattle. 4 years later, that prophecy seemed to come true. A young boy named Sonam Wangdu, born in Seattle in 1991, began showing signs that he was no ordinary child. His parents even dreamt of the Lama during pregnancy. By age 2, Sonam was recognized as the 4th incarnation, Dejung Rinpoche IV, and was formally enthroned in Nepal in front of 4,000 people. Despite tradition, the monastery allowed his mother to bring him back to the U.S. instead of keeping him in Kathmandu. Number 13. Reborn after tragedy. In May 1957, sisters Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock were killed in a car accident. Their parents, devastated, clung to a strange hope, especially their father John, who believed the girls would return. A year later, Florence gave birth to identical twin girls, Jillian and Jennifer, despite no family history of twins. Even stranger, Jennifer bore 2 birthmarks, one matching Jacqueline's waist birthmark and another resembling her forehead scar. As the twins grew, they began recalling details of a life they never lived. The names of old toys, places they'd never visited, even memories of the park swing where the deceased sisters once played. Their personalities mirrored Joanna and Jacqueline's, and then, slowly, the memories faded. But to many, the case of the Pollock twins remains chilling proof of lives lived twice. Number 12. The girl who remembered dying under a bus. In Sri Lanka, 1990, a 3-year-old girl named Purnima began saying things no toddler should know. She claimed she used to be a man named Jinidas, an incense maker from a town called Kelaniya, 200 kilometers away. She said he was walking to the market when he was struck by a bus and killed instantly. That memory of the impact was vivid, and eerily, Purnima had a birthmark on the left side of her chest, exactly where Jinidas had been crushed. It wasn't until she saw a documentary about Kelaniya that everything came rushing back. She named the incense brands he used to make Ambika and Gita Pichya, and when her family finally traveled to meet Jinidas's relatives, she recognized them all. Same soul, same memories, same scar. Born just a few years after his death. Was Purnima really Jinidas reborn? Number 11's the patient who changed her doctor's beliefs. Dr. Brian Weiss didn't believe in reincarnation until one patient shattered his entire worldview. In 1980, Catherine came to him for help with crippling phobias and anxiety. But under hypnotherapy, she began recalling a life from 2000 BCE, where she died in a devastating flood while carrying her baby. Weiss was intrigued, but not convinced, until she suddenly revealed deeply personal details about his own family. She knew how his father and son had died, facts so private, even his closest friends didn't know them. Session after session, Catherine described multiple past lives, each with precise historical knowledge she'd never learned consciously. The experience shook Dr. Weiss to his core. The Ivy League psychiatrist spent 4 years studying the case, then published it, becoming one of the most prominent voices in past life regression. Number 10. The boy from Scotland who missed his other mother. From the moment Cameron Macaulay could speak, he talked about another life, on a remote island he had never visited. He described the Isle of Barra in vivid detail. A white house by the bay, 3 bathrooms, a black car, a black and white dog, and a father named Shane Robertson who, he claimed, died in an accident. But Cameron had never left Glasgow. Disturbed by her son's memories, his mother contacted reincarnation researcher Dr. Jim Tucker. In 2005, they traveled to Barra, where Cameron immediately recognized his old house. Inside, he pointed out hidden details, even cracks in the walls. Later, the family met a woman named Robertson. In her photo albums, the black dog, the black car. Everything Cameron had described, except one detail. No one remembered a man named Shane. Still, Cameron found peace. He never feared death again. He simply believed he'd come back. Number 9. The boy who said he was Pam. When 5-year-old Luke from Ohio started calling all his toys Pam, his mom thought it was just a quirky habit. But when she asked him, "Who's Pam?" his answer shook her. "Me, I was Pam." Luke said he remembered being a black woman with black hair who died in a fire in a tall Chicago building. He even described going to heaven, meeting God, and being sent back down to earth, reborn as Luke. Curious, his mom searched online, and there it was, A tragic 1993 fire at the Paxton Hotel in Chicago. 19 people died, including a 30-year-old woman named Pamela Robinson. On a show called Ghost Inside My Child, Luke was shown multiple faces, and he instantly picked out Pam. Coincidence? Or proof that Luke was Pam before the flames took her away? Number 8. The Boy Who Came Back for Justice. In 1951, 6-year-old Munna was playing outside his father's barbershop in India when he vanished. 2 strangers had taken him far from home, where the boy was brutally murdered. His body was found beheaded by a riverbank. Though suspects were arrested, they walked free. No justice, just silence. But 6 months later, in another village, a baby was born, with a strange birthmark slicing across his neck. By age 2, the child began pleading to visit his home. He remembered his parents, his toys, and the 2 men who killed him. When Munna's grieving parents met the boy, he ran to them and embraced them tightly. He knew them. Witnesses were stunned. Investigators confirmed the details, none of which had been made public. 2 doctors studied the case. Their conclusion? The impossible had happened. Munna had returned. Number 7. The Gardener Who Came Back. Born in Turkey in 1956, young Ismail Altinklish began speaking of a life that wasn't his. He said he used to be a man named Abate Sulmus, a gardener murdered by his own workers. They had crushed his skull with an iron bar. Ismail had a scar on his head exactly where Abayet had been struck, and he spoke with eerie precision about Abayet's home, his wife Sahida, and their children. The boy begged to visit his old home in Bahçeçi. When he finally did, he recognized every detail, every object, every corner of the house he'd never seen before. But the most chilling moment came when Abayet's daughter visited him. After a long conversation with Ismail, she was left speechless. She believed it. Her father had returned. Number 6. The Mother Who Came Back. Ever since childhood, Jenny Cockell knew she had once been someone else. In vivid dreams, she was Mary, a poor Irish mother from the 1930s. She remembered the muddy hands, the constant hunger, and the house near the railroad. Most painfully, she remembered dying during childbirth, leaving behind 6 helpless children. This grief haunted Jenny for years. Eventually, she underwent past life regression, and the memories intensified. Through research, and with help from the BBC, she discovered Mary's full name, Mary Sutton. She had died in 1932 in Dublin. Not 6, but 7 children had been left behind. Jenny contacted them. One son, Sonny, bonded deeply with her, and one by one, the others recognized something hauntingly familiar in her words, her memories, her love. It was as if their mother had finally come home. Number 5. The Man Who Remembered Petra. Arthur Flowerdew had never left England, aside from one short trip to France. Yet for decades, he was haunted by vivid images of a vast desert city, a temple carved into stone, and the strange, persistent feeling that he had once been a temple guard there. Then one day, while watching a documentary, everything clicked. The city in his mind was Petra. Despite never reading about it, he could describe Petra's geography in striking detail, even places that hadn't been excavated yet. When archaeologists flew him to Jordan, the elderly Arthur walked the ancient city like a man returning home. He pointed out where he once worked, and where he believed he had been killed. Experts were stunned. How did a man from Norfolk know so much about a place he'd never seen in this life? Number 4. Engin Sungur, I Am Your Father. Born in Turkey in December 1980, Engin Sungur began speaking of another life as soon as he could talk. While passing through the village of Hankagiz, he pointed and said, "I used to live there. My name was Naif Çiçek. I went to Ankara, and then I died." His family was skeptical until one day, in a twist straight out of a movie, a woman visited their village. Engin walked right up to her and said, "I am your father." She was, in fact, Çiçek's daughter. When the family finally took him to Hankagiz, Engin identified Çiçek's widow, named relatives, and even pointed to an old oil lamp in the house, claiming he had made it. He also recalled an incident where his son accidentally hit him with a truck while pushing it. Another true event from Naif Çiçek's life. Every verifiable statement Engin made was confirmed. Not one was proven false. It's one of Turkey's most remarkable cases of a child who remembered a life he shouldn't have known. Number 3. The woman who lived 150 years ago. This case stunned even the leading expert in reincarnation research, the late Dr. Ian Stevenson. Uttara Hodar was a 32-year-old woman from Maharashtra, India, who had been terrified of snakes since childhood. Her parents chalked it up to a random phobia until something extraordinary happened. One day, a completely different personality emerged. Sharada, a woman who spoke fluent Bengali, a language no one in Uttara's Marathi-speaking household knew. As Sharada, she named 25 people she had known from a past life, described her relationships with them in vivid detail, and spoke of living in a Bengali village nearly 600 miles away, about 150 years earlier. She claimed she'd been bitten on the toe by a king cobra, but had no memory of her death. Dr. Stevenson personally investigated the case. What amazed him most was that Uttara had no exposure to Bengali culture, language, or history. There was no sign of contamination, no books, no influence from media, nothing. Out of the 25 people she named, 24 were verified by Stevenson's team. It remains one of the most well-documented and convincing cases of reincarnation on record. Number 2. The boy who swings like Bobby Jones. When Hunter was just 2 years old, he picked up a plastic golf club and never let it go. But it wasn't just talent. One day, while watching vintage footage from the 1930s, the toddler pointed at the screen and said, "That's me, when I was big." He was referring to Bobby Jones, the golf legend who won 13 major championships. Soon after, Hunter insisted his parents call him Bobby, claiming it was his real name. His father tested him, showing photos of 1930s golfers. Hunter immediately pointed to Bobby Jones. Then he was shown pictures of various houses, one of which was Bobby's childhood home. Hunter pointed and said, "That's home." He wasn't just imagining things. By the age of 5, he'd won 41 out of 51 junior tournaments, 21 of them in a row. Even strangers have said, "That kid swings like Bobby Jones." And Hunter's favorite course? Augusta, designed and co-founded by Bobby himself. Number 1. The boy who refused the glass and remembered a murder. This is one of the best documented cases of reincarnation. In 1959, a toddler named Gopal Gupta was offered a glass of water. Instead of accepting, he shocked everyone, saying, "I won't pick it up. I'm a Sharma." At just 2.5 years old, Gopal began describing a different father, different brothers, and a violent end being shot by his own sibling. He even named the business he owned in his past life, Suk Sancharak, a medicine company in Mathura. His father investigated and discovered the company was real, and the murder Gopal described had happened. The victim? Shaktipal Sharma, a prominent figure in the city. The killer? His own brother, over a denied request for 5,000 rupees. Years later, Gopal led his parents to places he'd never visited, naming streets, pointing out landmarks, even identifying his old house and family members. The man he once was died 8 years before Gopal was born. But somehow, he still remembered. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, these stories leave behind one haunting question. What if death isn't the end? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next mysterious tale.